Hi there, this is David, and today I want to talk about the Nintendo Direct as well as the Sony State of Play. As many of y'all might be aware, I was out of town over the weekend. I had my cousin's wedding to attend, which was absolutely beautiful. I haven't seen my family since 2019, and that was for a pretty sad event. That was for a funeral. So it's been about 4 years since I've seen my family. I had to go up there, had to see them, and had to celebrate. And it was a great time. They had this wedding in the beautiful winery over in the Hamptons. I got to see everybody. It was absolutely gorgeous. It was so much fun. But now I am back home, and I know that there was a Nintendo Direct as well as a Sony State of Play, and it happened on Thursday, which just happened to be the day that I was flying to New York, which is an ordeal in and of itself, and you have no internet and whatever. So I am watching these trailers for the first time, and I just want to go through and talk about them and react to the RPGs and the stuff that I care about. And we're going to be going in the order that these games appeared in the Nintendo Direct as well. So first up, we have Super Mario RPG, which is coming out on November 17th, and pre-orders are available right now. I first played this game back in high school. I want to say it came out in like 96. I was a freshman in 96, and it was mind-blowing to me. It was the very first time that Nintendo and another company, this time Square, would actually kind of get together and create their own game. I've never seen two companies really come together and do that before. And it did eventually lead to a falling out between Nintendo and Square, but that's not really what I want to talk about here. I want to talk about the game and just how much fun it was and how good it was. To me, Super Mario RPG is still the best Mario RPG. Better than the Mario and Luigi games, better than the Paper Mario games. This is definitely the best. Now that it's getting remade, hopefully we are going to get more games in this same vein rather than the Paper or the Mario and Luigi, because I really liked this type of game. It's a much more traditional type of game where you have 5 different party members and you can go off and you can fight, all throughout the Mushroom Kingdoms. They do have some changes in store for this remake. It's not just a straight up port, it's completely remade. And one of the changes is that timed attacks now target all enemies. It used to be that timed attacks would just target, the one enemy that you are attacking. But now they're changing it so that it targets all of the enemies, and I don't know how I feel about that. And the reason for that is because it's going to mess with the balance of the game. I felt like the game was perfectly balanced the first time around, but now, it's just going to make it a lot easier. And the game itself, a lot of people might think, if you're looking back, you might think, oh, this game was super easy. Go back and play it. If you don't fight every single enemy that you come across for the first couple of places, you're going to die a horrible death. You'd be surprised how challenging this one was. But now the timed attacks will target all enemies. It's going to make it so much easier. But I also think that it's going to make some characters like Mallow become, not all that hot. And it's going to make you kind of default to a party of Mario, Geno, and Princess Toadstool, and that's just going to be that. And, because Mallow, he was good because he had healing, he had Psychopath, but he also had Thunderbolt, which would hit all enemies. It was like one of your only quick, cheap, easy ways to target all enemies and clear out randoms. But now that timed attacks exist and that they target all enemies, then Mallow kind of really falls to the wayside, and a lot of people didn't really like him anyway, so I am concerned about that. There's also a new gauge for triple moves, like triple techs, kind of like in Chrono Trigger, and those triple moves depend on who is in your party. So if you have a party of like Mario, Bowser, and Mallow, then you'll do a different triple tech than if you had Mario, Toadstool, and Geno. So that's neat, that's different. I do like that particular addition because I feel like it's not going to upset the balance as much as timed attacks targeting all enemies. One thing that I will say about that, it's kind of like the boomerang in the Dragon Quest series, whereas the enemy that you're targeting with the timed attacks is going to take the brunt of the damage, and then everything else gets like splash damage, kind of how the boomerang worked. Then there's also powered up bosses that you can fight at the end of the game to give it a little bit more replayability. So again, I am looking forward to this. I am also a little bit apprehensive about some of those changes though. Next up, we have another code, Recollection, which is launching on January 19th of next year. This is a remake of 2 different Nintendo DS games, and they are point-and-click adventure games. These really are not my thing at all. I don't play games like this. I find them very boring, but I do know that a lot of y'all out there do play these games, so I figured that I would bring them up. So, we have a remake of Another Code 2 Memories, which was known as Trace Memory over in Europe, and then a remake of Another Code R, A Journey into Lost Memories, which was never actually released in North America before. But now they're both coming together, completely remade for the big screen. You're taking away those dual screens, taking away all of that, and putting them together into one game. So if you are a fan of these point-and-click adventure-y type games with like puzzles and things like that, then you might want to look into this. And also, I'm just thinking, if you get it physically, it's probably going to be really, really rare too. Next up, we have Saga Emerald Beyond, which is coming out for the PS5, PS4, Switch, PC, iOS, and Android too, digitally only, early next year. Here's my deal with the Saga series, okay? Before we even get into what this game is about, let me just talk about my experience with the Saga series, and that is that I really liked Saga 1, 2, and 3 for the Game Boy, and then just about everything else has been, yeah. And I hate to say it, but I feel like this game is also going to be like, yeah. You know, it's like if they just went back to what made Saga 2 as good as it was, the best in the series, then they wouldn't really have an issue, but they just don't, and I don't get it. They're constantly doing this Saga Frontier thing, this Octopath thing, where you have to choose one character and then kind of go out into the world and just kind of like figure it out on your own, and it's always just so obtuse and so hard and just so, it's just so hard to figure out what to do next, and it makes it just way too complicated, and you can't just kind of like sit back, relax, and have a good time. If they just took these characters, I think that there's 6 of them, I'm pretty sure. If they just took these 6 characters, put them all into a party together, and then let them go through the 17 unique worlds in a linear storytelling fashion like they would do, you know, in the earlier games, then I think that it would actually be really freaking good. But they're so, like, hell-bent on this open-ended, open-world thing that is just so overwhelming for like a typical player to get into. It's just way too much. Hopefully I'm wrong about this, but that just seems to be the case with Saga. I feel like Saga should be like the 3rd flagship series for Square Enix. There should be Final Fantasy, there should be Dragon Quest, and then there should be Saga. It's been going on since the 80s, for God's sakes, but it's still like this little teeny tiny series off in the corner that some people just kind of like forget about, even though it's so long running. And the reason is because most of them, like I said, are just kind of like, yeah. And again, I hate to say it, but I feel like this is going to be that way, although it looks to me to be beautiful. It has turn-based combat, it has the glimmer system, it has some really nice worlds, it has cool characters, it looks really freaking neat, but then they take this gameplay system and they just kind of like shoot themselves with it. They're like, oh, we have everything set for this great game, but we're going to make it open. We're not going to tell you what to do. We're not going to tell you where to go. We're going to make it really confusing, rather than just make it a linear journey through the 17 worlds with the 6 characters in the same party like they should do. Next announcement is War Tales. This was originally released over on the PC. It's a Western RPG. It's a strategy RPG in the same vein as something like Fire Emblem. It came out in early access back in 2021, but it first now just released this year back in April. Now it's coming out for the Switch as a timed console exclusive, meaning that the Switch will probably get it for like 6 months, and then it's going to go out for the PlayStation twins over there, probably Xbox as well. But yeah, if you're into these Western RPGs, if you want another strategy game, then you might want to look into this. You lead a group of mercenaries. It looks pretty cool. I don't know if I personally am going to get it or get into it whenever I like my strategy RPGs. I like them a lot more fantastical, a lot more Japanese, we'll just say it. So, yeah, I don't know. The Western strategy games that I've played, they've all been good in their own little ways, but I just can't get into them in the same way that I can into, like, a Japanese strategy RPG. So we went from talking about a Western tactical RPG to now an Eastern tactical RPG. Atlas and Vanillaware are coming together for Unicorn Overload for the PS4, PS5, Switch, and Xbox. It's coming out on March 8th of next year. This looks beautiful. This is something that I can get into. This is what I was just talking about. How, yeah, that last game might be fun or whatever, but I can't get into it. This, I can totally get into. It looks so freaking cool. It just looks absolutely gorgeous. And there is a collector's edition that you can grab. I think it was about $135 something. It wasn't that bad, and I'm a sucker for these things, so I picked it up. It comes with a copy of the game, obviously, the premium edition box, a 16-bit arranged music album with 2 discs, 10 tracks on each disc, 132-page art book, and an original card game with 240 cards, tokens, and markers, some downloadable content, all that kind of cool stuff. This just looks gorgeous. It reminds me a lot of like Ogre Battle, March of the Black Queen. It just looks great. Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes now has a release date. It's coming out on April 23rd. So that means that Konami is going to announce Suikoden 1 and 2 on April 22nd. You know? The way that they're kind of like fighting each other, it just makes me laugh. So it's coming out for the PS5, the PS4, the Xbox, the Switch, the PC. It's coming out for like everything. And it looks like it's taking like all the best parts of Suikoden and putting them together in one. It has that town building, like the castle building and everything. It shows it like grow and evolve and all that stuff. Looks really nice. It also looks like it's taking a lot of inspiration from Suikoden 3, at least insofar as the 3 heroes kind of coming together. There's Noah, the main hero, who looks just like the hero from the very first game. There's Sane, who's kind of like a knight-type character, and then Marisa, who is a forest warrior, kind of like Amazonian sort of character or whatever, and they come together, and I'm sure that they're like the 3 main heroes and all that, and then they go out and they gather their, 100 Stars of Destiny and all that kind of good stuff. So I am so looking forward to this. I backed this on Kickstarter. I cannot wait for this one to come out. This one and the Suikoden remaster too, that is sure to come out right before this game. More tactical RPGs now with Wargroove 2 coming out for the Switch and the PC on October 5th. It's going to cost $20, but it also is a console exclusive for the Switch. It's not coming out for the PlayStations or the Xboxes of the world, nothing like that. And this is very much a strategy RPG in the same vein as something along the lines of like Advance Wars. It just, but it's like pirate themed, and it's just like tropical, and it's so freaking cool. I loved Wargroove 1, and this just looks to expand on it. And not only that, there's like map building, just like you could do with Advance Wars, but not only can you build your own maps, your own stages, where you can put in like your own characters and fighters and stuff like that, you can also create your own story, almost like an RPG maker, where you can create your cutscenes too, and you can like send them off and you can play it online with your friends and all that. It looks so freaking cool. I love whenever games allow you to kind of like create your own game. I think the first game that I played that allowed you to do that was probably Excite Bike. And I want to say Ice Climber did the same thing way back in the day. I'm sure I'm talking to like 2 people out there who actually know what these games are, but they were fun back on the NES. And yeah, I had a good time with them, and this looks great. And the final game of the Nintendo Direct is an updated version of this game, Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door. It looks like the Mario RPGs are being, in a renaissance. All these remakes. We have a remake of Super Mario RPG and now Thousand-Year Door. It kind of begs the question of, where's the first Paper Mario game? How come that one isn't being remade? We don't know. This does not look to be There doesn't look to be any changes in this game. There isn't anything like a new battle system or anything else like that. I think that this is just a straight up port with some updated graphics and things like that. It doesn't seem to have any changes, kind of like the Mario RPG has changes insofar as the battle system is concerned. This is just the same game, just on updated modern hardware. As far as the Paper Mario games are concerned, I've said it before, I don't like them as much as I like Super Mario RPG. That doesn't mean that the Paper Mario games are horrible. All that means is that Super Mario RPG is just that freaking good. And of the Paper Mario games, this one here is easily the best one. So if you've never played any of these games, this is where you want to start. You want to begin here and see if you like it. Paper Mario 1 and Paper Mario 2, both of these games are absolutely fantastic. The other Paper Marios that followed, not so much. But these first two ones were really nice. So I'm definitely going to be into this whenever it comes out next year. Now we've made it into the Sony State of Play, and there's not a lot of stuff that I want to talk about here because not a lot of RPGs were covered, but what was covered was really freaking good! Tales of Arise Beyond the Dawn is a large-scale expansion DLC to the first Tales of Arise. So in order to play this game, you need to have the base game, and it takes place after the base game anyway. It's launching November 9th, and I don't do a lot of DLC. I've talked about this before. I just don't, unless the DLC is really, really, really well done. And I've seen some really good DLC in my days, and I've also seen some horrible DLC in my days. This looks to be really freaking good DLC because it has over 20 hours of new content, new character, new quests, new dungeons, new boss fights, new whole story arc. You know that this was not planned from the beginning. You know what I mean? This isn't some day one DLC crap. This is good new stuff. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't just like go off and create a new Tales game, you know, but I'm also kind of happy in the same way that this is just going to be cheaper than a new Tales game. So there is a new character named Nazamil, who's basically a daughter of a Renin Lord and also a Donin. So she's kind of have this weird little story arc going on, and she's gonna eventually fall under the curse of the mask. So, you know, Alphen doesn't want that to happen to anybody else, and he wants to save her, and hopefully along the way they'll be able to give her a haircut too, because I don't understand what is going on with this hair. This new hairstyle that I keep on seeing. I saw it first in the Pokemon DLC, where this hair was like crossed down the forehead or whatever. It looks so dumb, I cannot get over it. I saw it again in the new Saga game. There it is, there's that hair. Oh, I have to look away. I can't even look at it, it's so bad. And now I'm seeing it here. This hair needs to go away. And now the final game that I want to talk about, we're going to end this on a grand finale, and that is the Part 2 of the remake, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, coming out on Leap Day, February 29th, only for the PS5, probably a timed exclusive, just like these other games are, probably coming to the PC 6 months later. You know how we all know how it works at this point. But some changes that we've seen. The most notable change that I've saw was, you know, Zack being alive, obviously, and Zack kind of carrying Cloud on his back and being like, hey, can you help out my friend and all that? So you get to see Zack. There's a fully playable Sephiroth as well, more than likely just in that flashback over at Nibelheim. If you've played the original version, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You get to see Yunnan, you get to see Rufus, you get to see different modes of transport. The Chocobos are here, the flying Chocobo, the mountain Chocobo. I cannot wait to spend 10 to 20 hours of my life breeding a Chocobo that I'm going to use for 5 minutes. That's just fantastic. New characters, we got Red 13, Kate Sith, showed Vincent, Yuffie is there as well. Super cool. We get to see the Midgar Somar, all that kind of stuff. And then some other new stuff like the Segways over in Costa del Sol. They're probably going to do like swimsuit costumes, you know, for everybody. I cannot wait to see Zack in his little swimsuit doing his squats. That's just what he does. It says that it promises 100 hours of open world exploration. I, for one, am really looking forward to how they do the world map. You know how I am about world maps. I love a good world map. I don't like to feel shorted on a world map. I hate whenever the screen just pops up and then you go, oh, well, I'm at point A, I need to move to point B, and then you just move it on a line. I hate that crap. No, I want a good, full, beautiful world map that I can go off and explore, and I think that this is going to have that. I can't wait. It's going to have all of the mini games at Gold Saucer. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be spending hours and hours and hours at Gold Saucer and just kind of like going off and doing my own thing. We're not really sure where this is going to end, but the producer did promise that there is going to be one scene that we're all dying to see. So we shall see. I think that it's going to end probably at North Mountain, where the first game ended. And oh my gosh, guys, I cannot wait for this. I want to know what you are most excited about in this announcement, in all of these announcements, in the Nintendo announcements, in the Sony announcements. Let me know, because I am stoked about all this stuff. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, please leave a like, comment, and also subscribe, and as always, have a good day.